This insecurity is the deep, 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 deep level of powerlessness that we feel as men compared to women. This week in our men's group, Rachel guided us to look at insecurities that we have within ourselves, and it was fun. We had to go inside ourselves and share about what it is that makes us feel insecure as a man. And this is something that I've always felt throughout my whole life. I've also felt it in other men, and I always would feel this thing and I would internalize it like it was me. Like whatever it was that I'm feeling right now was because of me. I didn't realize that I'm also feeling them. I'm feeling the insecurity in me, I'm feeling the insecurity in them. And what is this insecurity that I'm speaking about? This insecurity is the deep, 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 deep level of powerlessness that we feel as men compared to women. It's an insecurity that we have learned to hide, to mask, and we, instead of embracing that part of us and healing it, it distorts and it turns into, this is what patriarchy is, turns into the energies of force, domination, oppression, exerting dominance, superiority. These are all energies that we as men, we learn to become, we learn to rely on, we learn to like adopt, because inside us there is a deep, deep, deep part of us that does not have power in the same way that women do. Now, you see, women are the divine creators. It's she that brings life into this planet. You want to learn more about that? Go. Rachel Fury has done a million different podcasts all about this, where she will share with you the truth. And it makes so much sense when you wake up to it. Of course, she is the creator. It's not a man. Yes, we create in certain degrees as men, but masculine men were not the representation of the creator. It's woman. Woman is the creator of life. She is the giver of life. As Rachel said, she is the maintainer and sustainer of life. And so we as men, because we aren't that, instead of honoring our uniqueness, which is that we're physically bigger and stronger, we're here to play a different role. We're not here to play the same role that women naturally are. They are the powerful ones. They're the ones connected to her. They're the ones connected to the universe herself. They're the true leaders of this world. And because we as men feel so insecure about that, because we can't honor what we are, we spend all this time trying to be superior and trying to dominate and oppress women and then other men just to gain some level of self-importance or to feel good. If I exert my dominance and I feel superior, then it hides away the part of me that actually feels inferior about who I am. So the work here is about realizing that. And in our men's group, this is what Rachel was guiding us through, is to start to look at this and look at the ways that we have shown up in force, in domination, in control. And then look at the ways that what that creates. And one of the things that has created in my life is because of this deep level of insecurity, I feel it most around men. Put me in a room full of women, the only insecurity I have is that I'm not a woman. That's the insecurity that I feel. Put me in a room full of men, the insecurities that I feel is that I don't feel comfortable within my own skin. And there's all this inferior superior dynamic. What I came to realize in this particular men's group was realizing that there's like a gauge that we have, like an internal scale, And we as men, whether we realize it or not, to varying degrees in different ways in our lives, are pegging ourselves on this scale. Am I superior to this person? Am I inferior to this person? Where do I lie? Well, this person's bigger and stronger. Maybe that's important to me. Well, I'm inferior to them because they're bigger. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other men. And deep down, we don't realize we're doing it also to women. But because we feel so inferior about how powerless we actually are, we have to act superior. We have to try and take what we don't have. We have to try and control what we don't have because we lack the power to simply just be who we are. So we distort and contort ourselves to be something else other than what we truly are. And in that, we give away our power. We give away who we really are. We turn away from our soul. We turn away from our divinity every time that we do that. We're not living our soul self when we run those programs. So that deep, deep, deep powerlessness and insecurity that lives within us, this sense that, oh, I'm actually inferior, when that's in there and that powerlessness is in there, it changes who we show up as. It creates all these different personas. And this is why we as men in the world were so lost. Why do you think loneliness is like such an epidemic across men? So we don't know how to connect to what we really are. And because we don't know how to connect to what we really are, we don't know how to connect to the feminine that lives within us. How are we then going to make a soul level connection to another human being, another man on the planet? We can't. And this is what I felt, and this was the struggle that I shared in class. This was the struggles that I've had for most of my life. I've always felt like there's a huge barrier between connecting to another man on a friend level, but still on an emotional level. And it's led me in my life to, I've had loads of different male friends, but throughout my life I've often been drawn to have friendships and relationships, particularly with women. And that's because generally women are more open, they're more soul-centered, because they haven't learned as much to stuff out the feminine within them. They have in different ways. This is patriarchy. But we as men, we have gone through an immense amount of severing. We have learned how to just cut ourselves off, and we disconnect from our soul. And so if we're disconnected from our soul, how do you connect to another human? You can't. And this is why obviously the patriarchy wants this to happen, because if we're disconnected, we're more easily manipulated, we're more easily controlled, our energy can be harvested, and we are not free. And this has been my life. And there has been so many instances where I have been around so many different people, especially men, and feeling the disconnection within them activates the disconnection within me, which creates my reality of feeling completely disconnected. And then what lengths am I willing to go to in order to vibrate at the same level and therefore have some level of connection? And I've done many, many, many things that I'm not proud of in my lifetime. Many things. And a lot of it stems from this part of me that is just trying to fit in. It's just trying to be one of the boys, one of the lads, one of the men. And what I have been doing with this aspect of my inner child is allowing him to see, you did not come here to fit into that box. That's why even when you tried so hard, it never really felt like you fit in, because you were never supposed to. And I've really had to accept that. I've really had to chew on that and embrace it, because the more I try and put myself into a box, the less I connect from my soul. And one thing I do know is that I came here to learn what living as a soul to the maximum potential in this human form, what that feels like, what that looks like, what that experience is. I want to have that experience of living a fully integrated soul self life. That's why I follow Rachel. That's why I learn about the ways of oneness. Because these are the blueprint, the ways of being that we can become our full, true, divine soul self in human form. It isn't about trying to escape to the ethers and be some high spiritual being. It's actually about us coming straight down to earth and being as human as possible. And when I say human, I mean a good human, grounded in my humanness, in my divinity at the same time. Not one, not the other, both. Now, this is what's missing on the planet, is souls who are willing to do the work to develop their consciousness, to vibrate at higher levels of consciousness. And what that means is being the ways, being responsible, being a trustworthy person, being present with yourself and others, learning how to be patient, learning how to become the way of unconditional love. And that means I hold boundaries for myself and others. These are what the ways of oneness are. They are, how do I, in my human form, become my soul self? And this is the choice that we have. And so throughout the activation portion of the men's group, when Rachel started to guide us into our heart and activate the ways of oneness, and we were integrating more enlightened frequencies, one thing became very, very, very clear to me. All of the ways that I shrivel up, shrink, and get really small around angry men, and how this is what came through, is literally just a frequency. That when somebody is in that angry, violent, unpredictable energy that to me feels very scary, that is a frequency. And while I cannot control what they do, I can control my vibrational state. And if it feels like I can't, which is what happens to me whenever I'm around someone like that, I feel very powerless, I get very afraid, I get very small. I need to learn how to nurture, love, expand, and empower that part of me. Now, the only way for me to do that and move through the transformational process of not being afraid of men who are angry and violent and scary is to embrace the feminine energy that lives within inside myself. It's she that transforms. So it's when I'm able to go in and know that doesn't mean put on high heels and paint my nails, and that's not what feminine energy is. That's a social construct of femininity. It's not feminine energy. Feminine energy is the creative power that gives birth to all life. So when I can find that within myself, when I can find that and bring that love, that creative power, I can transform all of the harm, all of the fear, all of the smallness, all of the powerlessness. I can transform that and raise my vibrational frequency. And it might not mean the first time I'm around somebody angry or scary, another man who's just in that frequency, that I'm going to all of a sudden show up super powerful. But it's about doing the work every time that shows up and growing in my power and expanding. And over the long period of time, the more and more and more that I've done this, I'm growing in my power. I'm becoming less afraid. I just went into a session today in our coaching certification. I was one of the people that was selected to be the client, and I got coached through this exact thing. Funny enough, I got coached through feeling the fear of feeling how angry my dad was when I think I was 3-4 years old, in this energetic memory that came up. And it wasn't like he was, hurting me necessarily. He wasn't doing anything like that. I wasn't like hitting me or doing anything. He was never, my dad, I feel lucky in that regard. He was never abusive like that. But it doesn't mean that when I was a kid and I felt him in that energy, that wasn't really scary. As a very sensitive child, of course, I can feel what energy that is that he's in, and how scary and unpredictable it is. And it created a lot of fear and powerlessness in me. And so today was the case of going in and bringing harmlessness and gentleness and learning how to tap in and activate my own soul self divinity. Now, how do I actually do that? Well, if you're watching this, this is where you get coaching. This is literally what I've been doing for nearly 5 years now. I found somebody, Rachel, who I knew that she had achieved this. She could help me energetically. She could move me through this. You find somebody that can do this, and you learn how to do this. You find a teacher, a true teacher. Now, a teacher is somebody that's actually become what it is that you're looking to become, and that's Rachel. She quite clearly has become this level of divinity and power. So one of the reasons why we as men are so lost in this world is because we lack the humility, we lack the equality within ourselves to honor the true teachers of this world, which are women. Until we shift enough as men and learn how to honor the feminine within us, the feminine teachers that are on this planet, the women that are here to guide us back to oneness, to guide us into the new age of harmony, until we are ready as men to suck it up and realize all of the stupid programs that we've run that have caused us to act superior because we don't want to feel how inferior we are, and actually honor those who will teach us how to transform and elevate out of what we are seeing on the planet. Now, I was trapped and lost in depression and in suffering for so many years, and it wasn't until I found Rachel's work 2 months in, everything had changed. Now, I'm not saying everyone out there within 2 months can heal their depression completely. I'm not saying I did. But within 2 months of doing what Rachel was outlining and guiding me to do, I went from experiencing absolute chaos in my mind, anxiety, depression, to feelings of unconditional love flowing in and around and through my heart. It's hard to actually comprehend. It's crazy when you actually move through the energetic process of what she teaches. And now there's myself and there's a whole team of coaches who are helping bring this level of work to the world. But if you want to learn how to do this, if you want to learn how to transform energy and raise your frequency, my strongest recommendation, find a teacher who can do it. And if you want to come learn from Rachel herself, that is exactly why we have a men's group and we have a women's group, to be able to access this level of teaching, this level of alchemy and energetics, where we can learn how to see all of the parts, all of our ugly, all of our shadow that are holding us back, and actually learn how to embrace that and transform it at the energetic level. And today, when I left that healing, for example, the amount of energy that I could feel pulsing through my body, it was like electricity wanted to shoot out of my hands. I was electrified. That's the divine feminine energy. It's electric. And this is the power that we all have. We've just learned in patriarchy to sever ourselves off from it. No one knows this more than men, right? But we actually don't realize it. We don't kind of know it because we're in this slumber, and we don't want to listen to the women who are actually here to teach us how to get out of this. So, thank you so much for listening. I'm going to be sharing some daily vlogs like this after each and every men's group, so you can follow along. You can just listen, but I always invite you to come join.